Hello, hello everyone. Okay, great. I think this is working. Okay, good. So I'm Sylvia. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Mira. So today I really like to talk to you more about our female hormone and about why we need to do those testings. And I know you may have some questions about our recently launched product, which is the new Mira Estrogen testing product. So yeah, so before we start, maybe we can talk a little bit about. I'd like to share with you some story about why we founded Mira. So, I have many girlfriends, and they were focusing so much on their education and then on their career when they were younger in their 20s or so on, and then after that, it just become really difficult. We really lack of fertility education. When we're younger, and a lot of education was about how to avoid the pregnancy, right? So then we really talk about the hormones and how this hormone can help us, and what we need to be prepared for our fertility if one day we want to be trying to kind of say what we should do. So those things are we rarely talk about this. We even rarely pay attention to these things. So my girlfriend, unfortunately, she was about 30, over a little bit over 30 years old when she started trying, and they were just really unlucky. They spent a lot of time and spent more than a year trying and visiting many doctors, and they really don't see any results eventually. So and the doctors give them all kinds of suggestions. You just need to relax. You're just unlucky. But we have a trouble. She had a trouble to really understand what can she do with that. And eventually, doctors said, well, a lot of people are just called this unexplained infertility, which means you're just unlucky and you just don't get pregnant, but we don't know why. So you're healthy, your husband is healthy, but how is that really going to help us, right? So then with that, and I was thinking this is very trending problem for everyone. So including a lot of women today, we have more education right now. We want to focus on our career. It's very hard to take a year or take even few months break, or focusing on something else like having a kid. It's very hard to catch up in your career. Every woman faces kind of issue. So is there anything we can help us to do better, right? We can help to either educate ourselves a little bit more before this thing become too late, or help us to prepare, or even just release some stress when we don't have to guess about everything. We have more information about our body. We can make a better decision. So that's why I started with Mira. So if you're unfamiliar with Mira is the very small device. So very small home testing device. So that will sample your urine, and then it's gonna measure your hormone level. So those hormone levels are all fertility hormone levels, and also they are more like a series of different hormones, which I will describe in a few minutes. So these hormones will tell us really our ovulation, our fertile window, if you have any problem with your body, or if you have a hormone imbalances, and so on, and even about your pregnancy is going well or not going well, and then later on, how is the menopause progress, right? Do you suffer, or do you have any symptom because something is imbalanced, and then how the doctor can help you. And also we're going to tell you, if you go to see the doctor and doctor prescribe you some medicine, so how is that really being helping your body? Is that being effective? Are we making progress on our treatment for PCOS, for example, which is a very common problem. So I will like to chat with you about those things a little bit later. So yeah, so then Mira measures all these hormones quantitatively. So that might be a scientific term, but it means we tell your hormone number. So how much hormone do you have in your blood? So hormone concentration, or so you have 2, you have 1, you have 30, you have 300, instead of positive, negative. So if you use the OPK, like the test strip, that will say, okay, you have 2 lines, you have 1 line, right? So it might feel like very simple to understand. Oh yeah, that's positive, that's negative. But if you think about this, how do they make a decision about if this is positive or is negative? Every woman is different. Every cycle is different. It's pretty hard. They probably use the population average, right? And but those population average were determined a while ago, actually a while ago, based on research. But right now, people's hormone level are evolving all the time. And plus, you are different than the average woman. And you're not average woman. Average means 50% of women are higher than that, and the 50% of women are lower than that, right? So and also your cycle might be different. You might be stressed out this months, right? You might be not eating well or eating really well or how doing more exercise. All this can affect. All this can affect the your hormone level. So that's why a lot of people, when they're testing their ovulation, pregnancy using OPK, and they have a little bit problem over there. It's just more like a confusion. So one line, two line, what does this mean? Darker line, lighter line. So what does that mean? How much darker is dark enough? How much lighter is light enough? So those questions are hard to answer. So what I truly believe is that I personally have a scientific background. So I'm a biomedical engineer. So I believe that in order to really help our consumers, we got to make things very clear, right? And we, consumers seeking for help because they need something. It's not because we want to give them a whole bunch of information or give them very confusing information, so they don't really know how to interpret that, and it creates even more problems than solving these problems. So that's why I'm trying to get Mira into there, which is to measure your hormone number, so how much hormones in your urine, and then with that, so you can really see is your hormone concentration increasing, decreasing, how that's trending, and our app will do personalized analysis for you too. So you can say, okay, so this will means you're ovulating soon, you're not ovulating soon. And more importantly, a lot of times your cycle, we have to learn the cycle over time period. So this cannot be done in a day, because you need to see the trend. You need to see your trend. Whatever hormone imbalances or whatsoever you're facing, you still have a trend, right? Because your body has their own situation, So then that's why we invented Mira. So recently, why I'm doing this live, because recently we launched a new product, which is the Estrogen Testing hormone. Okay, so where initially we were only able to test the LH hormone, which is for the ovulation only. So that will tell you if you are ovulating today or in 24 hours, 36 hours, something like that. However, our fertile window is just not the day of ovulation. Fertile window is about 4 days leading to the ovulation and the day of ovulation itself. So after ovulation, it's hard to get pregnant because your egg only lives up to 24 hours usually. After the ovulation, then the egg will die. So if the egg dies, then the sperm can't help. So we need to capture this whole fertile window. And on the other side, if you're trying to avoid pregnancy, you want to capture the whole infertile window. So you have to, all the good days, right? So you don't have to worry about getting pregnant. So with that, we invented our new product, which is estrogen testing. So same as our old LH testing product, this product also tests your hormone down to a number. Okay, so that will give you how much hormone, not positive, negative, in your urine. And then you can see your curve, you can see the trend. So I have a little bit sample curve here. So you will see something like this. Okay, if you can see my screen. So you see two hormones. So this light blue is your LH hormone, so that means ovulation. And then at the same time, you have the estrogen hormone. Here's just the sample cycle. So you see the estrogen hormone surging, and it has its own pattern. So you will see something like this. And then why do we want to, now we talk about the estrogen for fertility, but, at the same time, the estrogen is very important hormone for any female. So it's probably the single most important hormone to maintain a lot of your body's functions. So when we're at the menopause, we face so many issues like uncomfortable symptoms or so on. So those are usually caused by declining of estrogen. Okay, so our estrogen level fluctuates, so it can't maintain very stable anymore. So that causes you don't feel well, and a lot of other things like indirectly related with your, for example, your skin condition, your bone density, and your energy level, your mood swing, hot flash. All these things are associated with estrogen. So estrogen is very, very important. And a typical example for a pathological condition, for example, if you have hormone imbalances, right? Some people have PCOS, and some people have some other issue. Basically, hormones are not at the right place and too high, too low, or so on. So those are usually messed up with estrogen as well. So estrogen not in the place, and the other hormones are not in place either. So that means your estrogen, think about that hormone as something that's like something control your whole body's health and your whole cycle, more than, oh, I just need it for ovulation, and after ovulation I don't really care. That's not right. To maintain your, as a female, body's health, you need that to be at the right place all the time, each cycle. Okay, so that's very, very important. And then for all these hormones we're talking about, right? So we mentioned about LH hormone as more for your ovulation, and then estrogen for fertile window, and then there are a few others. So one is the progesterone hormone. So progesterone hormone will rise after ovulation is done. Okay, so that's a very good indicator for your, if you're trying to avoid pregnancy, you want to wait for the time, because then you don't have any chance to get pregnant. The egg is already ovulated and for a few days ago, so that means the egg is most likely not alive anymore. So it's really safe to have sex if you don't want to get pregnant. And also the HCG. So HCG rises after you get pregnant. So HCG will tell you your fetal growth. Okay, so you should double every 48 hours. However, for HCG, the baseline is very different. So that means my HCG can start very low, your HCG can start very high. So it's very hard to determine, if you use the OPK, right? Determine, oh, this is good, this is not good, this is high enough, this is not high enough. So then it's just hard to tell in that. So, but if you have a test that can give you the hormone number, so you will be able to see your own curve, right? So regardless where you start, you can start from a 300, I can start from 30. You should be able to see the doubling rate roughly every 40 hours. Again, everyone's slightly different. So that's another really important hormone to watch. Okay, and the last one, usually you probably hear the doctor talking about the FSH. Okay, so FSH is a follicle stimulation hormone. So that hormone often goes up at the beginning of each cycle. Okay, so that means that hormone stimulates, the function is like it stimulates our other hormones to be synthesized, and then your body will ovulate, and your uterus will thicken, and it will prepare for the fertilized egg, regardless if there is an egg fertilized or not. So your whole cycle will start. So the FSH has that function to basically go through, make your body to initiate and start your body to go through this whole cycle. So that's important hormone too. And that hormone is an indicator for your fertility level also. So if you believe you're kind of towards the end of the fertility, if you're over 40, for example, your FSH may rise. It actually may go up. Okay, so when FSH goes up, it's not a good sign, means fertility is decline. So they have the reverse relationship. So all these hormones are really important, as I said, and your body works like a symphony. So this symphony has many musical instruments. Each musical instrument is one hormone, as you can think about that metaphor, and they have to play together. Okay, so if they don't play well together, they're not in harmony, or they have some issue, so you will have hormone imbalances. So when you have hormone imbalances, many other things will not function. You might have infertility, and your acne might be growing. You might have headache. You might have migraine, mood swing. All the other things. Depends on what the situation is. So that's how important hormone is. They regulate our body all the time, every day, every second, and they have to play together. If they become individuals and they don't listen to each other, we're in trouble. Okay. However, the hormones control our body's function. So if you want to reach your goal, for example, you want to get pregnant, you want to avoid pregnancy, those hormones can help you because they give you hint about our body. And they are also the most essential hint. Okay, so essential hint means what? It means I know we test the basal body temperature too, right? And I watch my mucus too. But those are consequences of the hormone surge. Okay, because your hormone is increasing, so your body temperature is rising. Because of your hormone is increasing, and then you probably see the mucus change. So all the other things you're doing is a consequence. It's a result. It's a result of the hormone change. Hormone change is everything's causation. Okay, so if you want a really clear picture about how your body is going, you should go to the root cause, which are the hormones. So that's why we try to help you to know better about everyone's hormone. Okay, great. So I hope that's not too much about the science, but I love to share those things with you guys. I think it's great for every woman to know better about how the body works, and when we have a goal, so we know how to utilize those information to achieve our goal. Okay, great. So then, as we discussed before, we launched a new product, which is really exciting. So this new product is a test wand that can test both the LH and estrogen hormone on the single wand. So that means you sample the urine only once, and you're gonna get two numbers in the reading, and your curve you're gonna have two curves on the app automatically. Okay, so I like to address maybe some questions about this product, or some general confusion or information people like to know. So you can, if you're watching, thanks for the comments. If you're watching and you have questions, feel free to type in there. I can see your comments pretty clearly, so maybe I can answer some of them. And then before that, because we already we're Mira is on Instagram, on YouTube, so we hear you all the time, and I have collected some questions from our users, so I'd like to help them to understand. So the first question is like, many people are asking, what is really estrogen, right? So Mira is measuring E3G. So what is E3G? Oh my gosh, there are so many different names. And then my doctor may be talking about E2. Maybe I heard about this name or not. E2, E3G, estrogen. So what's the relationship, right? What's the difference there? So good news is like they're all the same. They're all estrogen. Okay, so estrogen is the bigger name. It's an overall name. Say, okay, this hormone type is called estrogen. However, this hormone is everywhere in your body. You can imagine that way more intuitively. So when it's in blood, it's called E2, and when it's in urine, it's called E3G. Are they the same? They're yes and no. So they're both estrogen, so their level are correlating with each other. If you have high E2 in your blood, you will have high E3G in urine really soon. But they're not exactly the same compound. Okay, so E3G is the metabolized E2 in urine. So that's how our body works. However, when we're testing our fertility, we need to see the trend. We just need to see when E2, E3G, or estrogen will surge. Okay, so then we can rely on the urine. We can also rely on blood, E2. Either way is fine. But the urine is much easier to collect. You don't have to pinch your finger all the time. Finger pinch probably not going to solve the issue. You probably need a vein. You need the blood here. So, but it's impossible to do that like 4 times every day, right? So the urine will help us greatly to understand our trend. So that's the difference. So when you look at E3G in the in Mira app, and what you could rely on is that the trend. So you say, okay, it's surging. My E3G is surging. That means also very likely my E2 is surging too. So I'm ovulating or I'm getting into my fertile window. So, however, what you shouldn't be looking at is compare directly the number between E2 and E3G, because they're fundamentally they're different chemical compounds, so their level will not be different. So for example, 10 for E2 might be 100 for E3G, something like that. So you don't compare those numbers directly. You can compare the trend. So that's hopefully that clarifies some knowledge about estrogen. And another question was about the range of E3G. So what is normal? What is not normal? So that's actually a very interesting question to answer, because oh my gosh, the variability is so big. So I can only say that normally it will range from 20 to 100, but that's normally doesn't mean you have to range in there. And it will probably go to 100 to 400 or something close to that when it's closer to ovulation and the fertile window. So from our clinical trial, we have sampled a few hundred patients urine for E3G, and we have seen very low number from a like a baseline was about probably 30 or something, and until the very high number when the person has a surge is about 400 or even higher. So those are all considered normal. Okay, so you want to pay more attention to your trend, So very soon, if you test the Mira, follow the test schedule. Either when you're close to fertile windows every day, and if you're not, it's like every other day, and you will very soon find that there should be a baseline. So there should be baseline. That's usually at the few days right after your period. Okay, you test continuously for a few days at that time, and those numbers are baseline. And when you're very significantly going away from your baseline, so going very high, and then that's the time the surge is happening, and that's considered as a surge. Okay, so you roughly have an idea about where the surge range is at and where the baseline range is at. And again, there will be a range. It will not be exactly same number every day. That's not human. That's not any biological biological species. Is not gonna have exactly the same number every day. Even every test is not gonna be exactly the same, but the range should be similar. Okay, so then the suggestion is that look at the range instead of absolute number. But I roughly give you our clinical trial data already, so it should be, if you're, I would say, close to 400, even below, from a 20 to 400, those are all possible, and that's possibly healthy too. Okay, so and another question I'm getting here is that how to read the graph of the results. So it's very similar question to the ones I just answered before. We need to look at the trend. Okay, we need to look at the trend. So I would suggest, actually, when I was doing this, let me try to get you a sample curve so you can see what I mean. Okay, so when I was trying to do this, I use more the estrogen hormone as a reference. Okay, so estrogen, remember we said it will surge before the ovulation, few days before the ovulation. So I use that one more like a background, give me some early warning to say, oh, this thing's about to come. But I wouldn't rely on that one to say, oh yeah, that's the ovulation. Because from our clinical trial, we found not every woman is having the estrogen surge right on the day of ovulation, or 1 day before, or 2 days before. So everyone's different. Your estrogen could be start to increasing about 5 days before ovulation, or it could be increasing on the day of ovulation. It's hard to tell. It's like everyone's different, but you can find your pattern if you testing continuously for a few months. So I personally, I use estrogen more like a reference. So I say estrogen going up. Usually estrogen will go up first, okay, before the ovulation. I say, okay, this thing is about to come. If I'm trying to get pregnant, I should be prepared to have sex. I'm not at my peak fertility day yet, but I don't want to miss any opportunity, so I will capture all these days. That's how I read it. And then you should say the LH surge. If you don't say LH surge, you're probably not ovulating. Even your estrogen is higher, it's probably not ovulating either. So use the LH as the key, the most important, most reliable indicator for the ovulation. But use estrogen as more like a background information or early notice, or something, something like that. You know what I mean? So when LH surge, and that's the time for ovulation, peak fertility day. If you are trying to conceive, best chance, probably only lasts for 24 hours. So truly the best chance. Don't wait. Okay, don't wait. And then after that, probably 2 days after that, minimal chance, almost no chance anymore. But you can still, if you want to extend your time period, you can still try to have sex, maybe in 12 hours or so, after the ovulation. So there's still a little bit chance, but after 24 hours, it's just hard. The egg is unlikely live anymore. So the chance to get pregnant is minimal. And then if you keep testing, if you're really interested into your hormone level, you keep testing, you're gonna see, oh, estrogen may going up again. It goes like, a little bit peak for the ovulation, go down, and it may go up again. That's completely normal. Actually, in our cycle, in a healthy cycle, we do have two peaks for estrogen. Okay, but again, everyone has slightly different profiles. Someone's higher, someone's lower, someone's low to high, high to low. Those are all possible. The second peak is more like a prepping your uterus for pregnancy. Doesn't matter if you're pregnant or not. Then your body will do that, just like a progesterone surge. So you don't have to worry too much about that, but you don't have to be concerned to say, "Oh, my estrogen is going up again after ovulation. Am I ovulating again?" No. If your LH doesn't go up, you're not ovulating. So that's how I read the hormone profile. And also, I like to test it usually a little bit more often at the beginning of the using the Mira, right? Either you're in the first cycle or first couple months. I probably test more often, like once every other day, or once every day during the fertile window, so I can learn my cycle faster. I usually compare my, if I'm really urgently trying to conceive, I will compare my time, the time I need for, time I really, how do I say this? It's like the time I have to wait to get pregnant. And those are very precious time versus the troublesome of, okay, doing another testing. The later is nothing, right? So I want to save my time. I want to get pregnant faster. So I rather test more frequent early. So I know my cycle earlier. And then I will end up to be either faster pregnancy or whatsoever. So that's usually how I use this device, more dynamically or personalized. Okay. So yeah, so I think that's some very key questions for this, for the estrogen. I'm just reading the FAQ people sent me earlier. Thank you guys for all these questions. Really appreciate that. Okay, so and I saw a couple questions about progesterone wand on the comment. So yes, we're launching progesterone wand. It will be later this year. And if you sign up for Mira, so if you sign up on our website, leave your email address, you should soon receive some email. Okay, so we will be looking for beta testers very soon. So you probably have a chance to have early access, and most likely it's free. But we like to have your feedback, right? So tell us how you feel and help us to make the product even better. So that's about progesterone. And there's another question about the medicine. So so basically, for any medicine, you can apply a general rule. The rule is that if that medicine will affect your ovulation. Okay, so once you're taking that medicine, if that medicine is stimulating ovulation, you probably have very high hormone level, right? Because usually that's the case. If your doctor trying to stimulate your ovulation, they have to stimulate the hormones. That's how they do it. You have to have high hormone, so you are ovulating. And they make you to have high hormone. So then yes, Mira is able to detect that because you're seeing the hormone trend. And if your medicine is suppressing your ovulation and you're not ovulating, and you're probably going to see a very long baseline or smooth baseline, then Mira is not able to detect that. That's not because we can't do it. It's because you're not ovulating, right? But for medical suggestions, I suggest you to talk to your doctor, because every woman is very different and we don't know your medical history. So it would be great to consult with your doctor just to be safe. Another question, when will you be launching HCG? So good news, still later this year. So it should be very similar timeline as PDG. We are actually already doing some user testing right now. We're recruiting people for, collecting people's interest on doing that. And this estrogen will be very amazing because it tells you the number. You can truly see how your hormone is doubling every other day. Is that going on the right trend? Is that too high, too low? And I feel like it's much better control, much more detail about how my body is, doing. So great. Someone said they just use Mira at home for insemination on 11-day post-ovulation. Great. Congratulations. Hopefully, this is a lucky one for you, and hopefully you can conceive soon. So yeah, so with that, I think I answered most of these questions. Yeah, and if you guys have any more questions, you can find us on social media, either this channel, YouTube, or on Instagram, Facebook. We're everywhere, and we check it very often. So, any questions, feel free to let us know. I love to. I actually doing this is very recent activity for me, but I love doing this because I feel like although I cannot see you, but I know people are watching, and I can feel you. I can see your comments, and make me feel like I'm truly helping people. So again, very appreciate and thank you guys so much for everything you have done to support Mira, and thank you for making my dream come true to helping more women like you. Right? I think we truly need this. Just a little bit. My personal thought is like I never understand why women's health is a niche industry. Many people tell me, "Oh yeah, you're doing women's health is a niche." I don't know why it's a niche. 50% of global population is women. Why is that a niche, right? We need to do more on this, but we need to do it in the right way. I want to put the true science into women's hands, and also I want to release everyone's stress. So it's not something super hard to read, like a lab test report or like something from a lab testing instrumentation. We have to study 5 hours to understand what's going on. So yeah, so with all this, again, thank you so much. And maybe I'll see you often. I'll see you another time on YouTube. This is my first live on YouTube. Yeah, and hope to talk to you more in the future. Thank you. Bye.